If you have just tuned in, we have the big breaking news of the day for you, which is that the country is all set to have its first full-time woman defense minister. The woman on your screen right now, Nirmala Sitharaman. And what an elevation for her. What a career trajectory for her. Till this morning, or rather till yesterday, she was Minister of State for Commerce, a junior minister in the Modi cabinet for the last 3 years. Today, she was one of the 4 ministers to be elevated to cabinet rank. There was still speculation about whether Arun Jaitley would have to continue as defense minister. But now the picture is clear that Arun Jaitley is going to pass on the baton to this woman who's going to take over as the next Defence Minister of India. And we're told that this transition should happen as soon as Finance Minister and the current Defence Minister Arun Jaitley is back from Japan. Remember, he's leaving for Japan tonight for an important security and defence dialogue with his Japanese counterpart ahead of the crucial visit of the Japanese Prime Minister to India a couple of weeks from now. But as soon as he is back from that visit to Japan, we are told he is going to hand over charge to Nirmala Sitharaman, who is in fact believed to be very close to Arun Jaitley. And we are told that she even met him at his residence a short while ago. Soon after, that official list of the new portfolios was out. And once it became clear that she was going to take over from him as the new defense minister, she went and paid him a visit at his residence, though the official handover will happen once Arun Jaitley is back from his visit to Japan, which he leaves for later tonight. But this is being seen as historic in many ways, because this is only the first time that this country is going to have a woman Raksha Mantri since Indira Gandhi, the all-powerful woman Prime Minister and the only woman Prime Minister this country has seen. But what's different between then and now is that Indira Gandhi held this portfolio as Prime Minister. She wasn't a full-time defense minister. No other woman has been full-time defense minister in this country. This will be the first time that you will have Nirmala Sitharaman, the first full-time woman defense minister of the country, who the armed forces will now be reporting to. A tectonic shift there, and a big surprise for many who in fact had been saying that this Modi cabinet rejig was much ado about nothing. Well, it has certainly given us a very, very big headline. All right, we continue to get callers. At this point, I'm told we can go across to Dr. Kalra, who joins us on the phone line. Dr. Kalra, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this big tectonic shift?
India is the land where we had Durga, we had Kali, we had Lakshmi Bai, and now we have our beloved lady, the lovely lady, the daughter of this land, Nirmala ji. And she is going to look after the defense of the country, a great, proud moment for all of us. We are proud of her, and she will do best. We are sure that the security of the country is safe with her being as defense minister, first woman defense minister of the country, first
Absolutely.
Independent.
Absolutely. Even though we've had a woman supreme commander of the armed forces before in the form of President Pratibha Patil, but this is the first time that you're going to have a woman defense minister who the armed forces are going to report to. This is a big development. Of course, most have welcomed it, saying she has shattered that glass ceiling. But so, what would you say to people like, former Air Chief Marshal A.Y. Tipnis, who we spoke to earlier, and General Kadian, in fact, both of whom said, this is a very welcome development. Yes, she's shattered a glass ceiling, but why are we looking at this development or at her only through the prism of her gender? Does that in some ways, you think, reflect a patriarchal mindset, a gender bias, that everyone is surprised that a woman has become the defense minister? Okay, Colonel B.N. Thapar also with us on the phone line at this point. Colonel Thapar, your first views on this development, most calling it historic, and Prime Minister Modi's masterstroke. But there are some who are saying, well, she is there because of her capabilities and what she brings to the table. Don't look at her only through the prism of her gender.
Well, actually, it is a surprising move, and I wish the Defence Ministry and the Defence Minister all the best in the days to come. Regarding the gender bias, there is no such thing as a gender bias today, because if you go to a place like Dras, it is teeming with girls and lady officers. So we can't say that it's a gender. It is now better than not having a defence minister at all.
Absolutely.
So far we were doing without a defence minister. Now we got some defence minister, and let us see. Time will prove whether she is done justice to her job, or that the doubting Toms were correct. So let's see.
Yes, the Congress has already expressed its skepticism, saying we hope that she will not function as defence minister the way she did as commerce minister. But then you do expect the opposition to speak that language. We will really have to wait and see how she delivers now that she's got this brand new job and a big responsibility on her hands. Thank you so much, Colonel Thapar, for sharing your views with us. At this point, let's also go across to General Deepak Kapoor, former army chief, who is with us on the phone line. General Kapoor, thanks so much for speaking to NewsX. Sir, your first thoughts on the fact that this country is going to, for the first time, have a full-time woman defence minister?
I have no doubt that she has been appointed as a defence minister, seeing her capabilities, and I have no doubt that she will do an excellent job of being a defence minister.
Sir, do you agree with those who say that a glass ceiling has been shattered? This is the first time since Indira Gandhi that the armed forces are going to, report to a woman minister. Or would you agree with those who say, why are we looking at her only through the prism of her gender?
The armed forces have never looked at things from a casteist or a gender basis at all, ever. So to that extent, it would be wrong to look at just the gender part. The armed forces also have women officers amidst their ranks. So anyone who can do a good job of for the defense of the country would, I'm sure, serve the purpose.
All right, General Kapoor, I would also like to ask you, moving away for a moment from the euphoria around the fact that she's going to be the country's first full-time woman defense minister. Sir, you would agree with me that she has not just a huge responsibility on her shoulders, but a big challenge on her hands, sir. Many have been critical of the Modi government for having practically left a very important portfolio like the defense ministry unmanned for months now, even though Arun Jaitley had additional charge of it. Given that national security is such a huge issue, you've had a huge crisis with China in Doklam that was resolved only recently. You have a very hostile neighbor in Pakistan, and therefore you do need a full-time defense minister at any given point in time. And from that viewpoint, this is a welcome development.
Of course, it's a very welcome development, and a full-time defense minister is very much required. And there is a lot of gaps which need to be made up. I'm sure she, as a defense minister, would be able to do full justice to the trust which has been reposed in her.
Sir, you served as the army chief. You know what it takes to get the job done. You've been there and you've done a very, very difficult and important job for this country. As somebody who has vast experience, what would your advice to Nirmala Sitharaman be today, sir? What do you think her priorities need to be as she gets set to take over as the new defense minister?
I think first and foremost, we need to have an enhanced budget for the defense forces. The budget has gradually, in terms of percentage of GDP, has been coming down, which in the long run is going to affect the kind of modernization that the defense forces have to go through. To that extent, there is a very imperative need to enhance the defense budget gradually to about 3% of the GDP.
Sir, this has been a grouse of many, especially in the armed forces, who've been saying that the defense budget has been steadily declining, especially when you compare it to the defense budget of countries like Pakistan and China, who India obviously needs to be wary of at any given point in time. But sir, going forward, do you see that priority changing for the Modi government? There's no doubt, sir, that the Modi government has always placed a lot of emphasis on national security. But it has been a disappointing fact for many like you that the defense budget has been going down. Do you see the government course correcting on that front going forward? What are your expectations?
I am sure the new Defence Minister would try her best to ensure that the course correction takes place and the Defence Forces get the requisite budget to go forward. Secondly, there is also a requirement that there are old recommendations of the committees like the Kargil Review Committee, who had recommended the CTS, plus integration of the Ministry of Defence and the Services Headquarters, which should also be looked into. And I'm sure she would have her hands full doing all that. And I have no doubt that she'll do a good job of it all.
All right. And so final question before we let you go. You're saying defense budget is a huge issue which has been steadily declining. You were saying the recommendations of the Kargil Review Committee, amongst others, need to be revisited and implemented, something that's not happened. Also, sir, any other important issue that you would want to flag in terms of defense purchases? Because we've often seen how those issues remain confined to government files that gather dust for years and years.
No, the only issue that I'd like to touch on is that the Make in India project, which has been taken up very strongly by the Modi government, needs to be hastened. The process of even now getting it through and having military hardware being indigenously produced is rather going slow. It needs to be hastened, and I'm sure that having been a commerce minister, the new defense minister would have a very serious look at it and ensure that there is a rapid transformation to this project of Make in India.
General Kapoor, that's some very, very important advice coming from a man who's been there and knows how to get the job done. You're saying Make in India and the defense sector needs to be expedited. I think that would be very good advice for the new incumbent as she comes into office. General Deepak Kapoor, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to NewsX and sharing your perspective with us on this big development of the day. All right, I'm told we have more callers at this point. Matthew joining us from Bengaluru. Matthew, go ahead. What are your thoughts? You probably also heard what the former Army Chief, General Deepak Kapoor there had to say. Anything you'd want to add? Okay. Okay, we may have lost the line there to Matthew. We'll try and reconnect with him. But at this point, I'm told Milan is with us on the phone line. Milan, go ahead. What do you think about this big shift?
See, first of all, I want to congratulate our Prime Minister. It's the first time in the history of India that the woman has become a defense minister. But having said that, this defense minister should be held by the finance. Finance is the most important issue for the defense ministry. The earlier Mr. Manohar Parrikar, who was the defense minister, he tried his level best and he was one of the best defense ministers in our country. He could solve the war of issue in one stroke. There was a finance ministry, there was a problem, but he could solve that problem. But today the main problem is the finance. If she gets the finance, I'm certainly sure she will do the great job for the defense ministry. And another thing I want to add, as a woman has become the defense minister, a lot of girls should join the defense ministry, especially from the Kashmiri youth. They should join the armed forces, and it will be encouraging. She will give a more encouragement to the women community to come forward to join the armed forces.
All right, Milan, thanks very much for sharing with us your perspective. Gurdeep from Ludhiana also with us on the phone line. Gurdeep, almost everyone who we've spoken to today has welcomed this development. What do you think the new defense minister now needs to do?
I have very, very clear perception of one thing. Our ladies are doing much better than men. This all men bastion has been broken.
I'm glad you say that, Gurdeep.
A woman has more compassion for the widows. A woman will have more compassion for the soldiers, possibly because of all these problems which Sitharaman can possibly handle better. She has the respect and the closeness with the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister is the ultimate authority. I am very, very sure that she will do very well. At least she should reduce the number of cases of disability and other things, and implement court cases, court judgments where the defense ministry has been trying to stall them. and she should care for the veterans, because in their old age, about 80 odd age people are running around the courts for their court cases where they have won it, but the government has yet not implemented them. I am very sure this lady has that compassion. I congratulate her for becoming the first defense minister. Let's hope that she delivers better than what possibly Jetli Saab did in this two-in-one story which he was holding on to.
So I have
That is
to
my
say
take.
you raised some extremely valid points. You're saying one of the things that you would expect the new defense minister to do is to show more compassion and greater respect towards our veterans, many of whom have to run around for court cases, seeking their pensions from the government for years and years. I think that's a very, very important point you're making, sir. Thank you so much for that. Okay, Umesh Chandra joins us from Hyderabad. Umesh Chandra, go ahead. What are your views on this big development?
Yeah, first of all, I just need a minute or two. I urge you to provide a minute or two so that I can discuss comprehensively on this recent development. So the first thing is, I just want to congratulate all the ministers who have sworn in today. So the second thing is, like, Nirmala Sitharaman being elevated should not be considered as a gender issue. If you consider it as a gender issue, we are perpetuating the thought process that there is the distinction on the basis of gender is still prevalent in our Indian society, which to be more candid is not. Because if you observe, in 1970s and 1980s itself, we have a women prime minister, and prior to that, we have freedom fighters who fought against the Britishers to safeguard the interests of the Indians. So that is the first perspective. I just want to put the things in perspective. We should not consider it as a gender issue, as it was earlier said by few authorities. I don't know their names and everything, but that is the first issue. And the second issue is whether she has the competency to be the defense minister of this country or not. We have on one side China attacking us. We have on the other side, we have the cross-border terrorism from the Pakistan. We have on the other side the Rohingya issues, which may, and also today, there is an issue in North Korea. North Koreans, they have resorted to this kind of a,
That's right. They've tested a hydrogen bomb, sir. Yes.
Yeah, hydrogen bomb related thing. So there are various implications, international implications as well. The first thing that we have to understand is the former defense ministers, they carry some experience. Here, the Nirmala Sitharaman, I have very due respect to her. She has a very good communication skills. She has a very good understanding of the various issues. But the point is whether the defense ministry can be handed over to her, whether the responsibilities can be entrusted to her. The point is, if you observe the previous history, there are no people who do not carry, or else if they carry a minimum experience of 2 or 3 years, they were not appointed as defense ministers. If garnering votes is the object of the government, that can be done through other initiatives.
Okay.
But if you appoint a less experienced person as a minister, it will have the wide ramifications.
So I know what you're saying, but you will have to bear in mind that she may have been elevated to cabinet rank today, but she's been a minister of state for 3 years in the Modi government. But Umesh Chandra, we appreciate your joining us and sharing your views with us. Thanks very much for speaking to NewsX. All right, on that note, let's take a quick break here on the show, but we'll be back with lots more and more reactions to that big development.